Get lost, GO2 bed. Marcus's palm hit the dining table so hard the silverware jumped. My 10-year-old daughter, Emma, froze beside the only empty chair. She had spent hours carrying dishes, scrubbing pans, wiping counters, vacuuming crumbs, and hauling trash outside while everyone else laughed, drank, and waited for dinner. Now the food was finally served, and she wasn't allowed to touch it. But I haven't eaten, Emma whispered. Marcus pointed toward the hallway. I said go. My sister Vanessa gave an uncomfortable little laugh. My mother, Diane, barely looked up from her plate. Oh, stop being dramatic, she said. Missing one meal won't kill you. A few relatives actually laughed. Emma looked at me. Everyone else did too. They were waiting for me to explode. Instead, I stood, took Emma's hand, and walked her upstairs. What none of them understood was that my silence wasn't surrender. And before that night was over, I was going to make one decision Marcus would wish I'd never made. Vanessa's newly renovated house had been full since mid-afternoon. Cousins, aunts, neighbors, children, everyone had come to celebrate the finished renovations. Emma had offered to help carry 2 serving bowls. Marcus noticed. Since you're already standing, grab those plates too. Then came the glasses. Then the dirty cookware. Then the trash. Emma, wipe that counter. Emma, vacuum under the table. Emma, take those bags outside. His own children sat on the couch playing games. Every time I started toward Emma, Marcus found a way to make the order sound harmless. She likes helping Yoland. Vanessa nodded along. It's good for kids to learn responsibility. So I watched. Not because I didn't see what was happening. Because this wasn't the first time. By dinner, Emma's cheeks were flushed from running around the house. When Marcus sent her upstairs hungry, I followed her into the guest room and handed her the only thing available, a bottle of water. She climbed beneath the blanket. Mom. Yes. Did I do something bad? My throat tightened. No, sweetheart, you didn't. I kissed her forehead, closed the door, and walked back downstairs. The room quieted when I returned. Marcus leaned back in his chair like he'd won. I pulled out my phone. Typed one short message. Sent it. Then I sat down and smiled. Marcus's expression shifted. What's funny? I picked up my glass. Nothing. Then I looked around the table. I just hope everyone enjoys breakfast tomorrow. Morning came with the smell of coffee and Marcus acting as though nothing had happened. He stood at the kitchen island in slippers, stirring sugar into his mug. Well, he said when Emma walked in, look who survived. Vanessa laughed. Marcus. What? He shrugged. She needed to learn responsibility. My mother looked over her reading glasses at Emma. Honestly, Yoland, you baby her too much. You should be thanking Marcus. Emma lowered her eyes. Then she turned to me and whispered, I'm sorry. I crouched beside her. For what? For making everyone mad. That stopped me cold. You didn't make anyone do anything. But if I had just cleaned faster. No. I kept my voice calm. You are 10. Adults are supposed to take care of you. You are not responsible for an adult choosing to be cruel. Marcus heard me. Oh, please, cruel, I gave her chores. Then, without missing a beat, he pointed toward the breakfast dishes. Emma, take those plates to the sink. I looked at him. Emma looked at me. Before I could answer, my cousin Renee stepped forward and took the plates herself. I'll do it. Marcus frowned. Renee avoided his eyes, but when he walked away, she leaned toward me. He does this all the time. I turned. What do you mean? With the younger kids, whoever he thinks won't argue. My Aunt Lorraine overheard us. I saw Emma washing the front windows the last time you were here, she said quietly. I thought she volunteered. She didn't tell me that. Lorraine's face changed. Across the room, Emma was listening. So I started asking questions. Not accusations. Questions. Who told Emma to take out the trash yesterday? Nobody answered. Who saw her washing cookware? Renee raised her hand slightly. 2 others followed. Did anyone notice she never sat down for dinner? Silence. That silence told Emma everything. They had seen it. They had known. And they had let it happen. Her face tightened, but she didn't cry. Marcus walked back into the kitchen and clapped his hands once. All right, enough of the courtroom routine. I stood. Actually, I need everyone to stay through lunch. Vanessa stared at me. Why? I have something I want to discuss. Marcus laughed. What, planning another lecture? I picked up my coffee. In a way. His smile lingered. Mine didn't. And for the first time, he seemed to wonder why I wanted every witness in the house to remain exactly where they were. By noon, the house was busier than it had been the night before. More relatives had arrived for lunch, and a few neighbors stopped by to congratulate Vanessa and Marcus on the renovation. Right behind them came 2 members of the Neighborhood Improvement Committee. They had scheduled a routine visit weeks earlier to inspect the work completed under the Community Renovation Grant. Marcus greeted them with a broad smile. Perfect timing, he said, shaking hands. Come in, we're proud of what we've done here. He led them from room to room, pointing out the new flooring, updated kitchen, and rebuilt patio. We wanted this house to be a place where family comes together, he said proudly. I listened without interrupting. When everyone gathered back in the dining room, the lead inspector smiled politely. Everything looks very nice. I nodded. Before you continue, may I ask for just 1 minute? Marcus folded his arms. Go ahead. I looked at Emma. Sweetheart, could you tell everyone what you did yesterday after we arrived? Emma hesitated. You don't have to be afraid, I said gently. She took a slow breath. I carried dishes. She paused. Then Uncle Marcus told me to wash the pans. She counted on her fingers. I wiped the counters, vacuumed, cleaned the dining room, took trash outside twice, washed glasses, cleaned the back porch, and kept bringing everyone drinks. The room grew noticeably quieter with every sentence. And she swallowed. I didn't get dinner. One inspector slowly lowered his pen. Marcus immediately stepped forward. She volunteered. Emma looked confused. No, you told me to. It was helping, Marcus corrected. Kids help, that's normal. Without raising my voice, I reached into my bag. I thought someone might say that. I placed several printed photographs on the table. Each one was time-stamped. Emma washing dishes. Emma carrying heavy garbage bags. Emma vacuuming while adults relaxed in the living room. Emma wiping windows while Marcus sat outside talking with guests. The inspectors carefully spread the photographs across the table. No one spoke. Then my teenage cousin Caleb cleared his throat. Actually, Uncle Marcus told me to sit back down. Every head turned toward him. He said Emma could handle it because she needed to earn her place. Vanessa's face immediately hardened. That isn't what he meant. It is exactly what he said, Caleb replied quietly. Aunt Lorraine nodded. I heard it too. Suddenly, everyone who had stayed silent the night before found themselves looking at each other instead of at Marcus. My mother finally broke the silence. Yolande, this is unnecessary. You're embarrassing your own family. I met her eyes. No, Mom. I glanced toward Emma. They embarrassed themselves. The lead inspector spoke for the first time in several minutes. Mrs. Hale, Mr. Hale, are children regularly expected to perform household labor during gatherings connected with this grant-supported property? Marcus's confident smile disappeared. This has nothing to do with the renovation. Perhaps, the inspector replied calmly. Perhaps not. I slid a neatly organized folder across the table. Marcus stared at it. His voice was suddenly much quieter. What exactly have you been collecting? The lead inspector opened the folder. Without saying a word, he removed the first set of documents, followed by another stack of photographs. The mood inside the house changed in an instant. The inspection was no longer about countertops, flooring, or fresh paint. The lead inspector closed the renovation checklist and set it aside. We're going to need to clarify a few things before we continue. Marcus forced a laugh. You can't be serious. I assure you, the inspector replied evenly, I am. He asked that everyone remain in the house, while committee members spoke with family members one at a time. Nobody argued. Not even Marcus. For the first time all weekend, he wasn't the one controlling the room. One by one, relatives were invited into the den. When Renee came out, she refused to look at Marcus. Caleb was next. Then Aunt Lorraine. The conversations were quiet, but they lasted long enough that everyone waiting in the living room became visibly uncomfortable. Marcus paced. This is ridiculous. Vanessa tried to calm him. They're just asking questions. They're asking questions because your sister made this into a circus. I stayed seated beside Emma. She leaned against my shoulder without saying a word. A committee member eventually returned carrying a tablet. We've reviewed the interior security footage provided by the homeowner's system. Marcus stopped packing. The committee member continued. It confirms that Emma spent nearly the entire evening performing household chores, while the adult guests remained seated. He looked down at the screen. The timestamps also match the photographs submitted by Ms. Bennett. Marcus immediately pointed at me. You've been spying on us. No, I answered calmly. You've been recording your own house. A few relatives exchanged uncomfortable glances. The evidence wasn't mine. It was theirs. The committee member opened another document. We also reviewed text messages voluntarily provided by multiple witnesses. Vanessa's eyes widened. What text messages? Renee quietly answered. The family group chat. The room fell silent. The committee member read one message aloud. Let Emma handle it. Marcus gets annoyed when the kids don't listen. He looked up. Sent from Mrs. Hale yesterday afternoon. Vanessa covered her mouth. I didn't mean. You meant exactly what you wrote, I said quietly. I was trying to avoid an argument. And instead, I replied, you let a 10-year-old carry it. Nobody defended her. Not this time. As more statements were collected, another pattern emerged. Several cousins admitted they had watched Marcus order younger children around during birthdays, holidays, and cookouts. One cousin confessed that he had once offered to help Emma, only to be told by Marcus that girls should learn to serve guests. Another admitted he stayed quiet because Marcus exploded whenever anyone challenged him. My mother crossed her arms. This is getting blown completely out of proportion. The lead inspector looked directly at her. Ma'am, every witness has independently described the same pattern. She looked away. Then another committee member spoke. There's one more issue. He opened a separate file. Mr. Hale has represented himself in multiple neighborhood applications as a mentor who regularly organizes youth activities and promotes positive treatment of children. Several neighbors who had admired Marcus stared at him in disbelief. One of them frowned. You're the same man who just sent a hungry child to bed. Marcus snapped. Oh, for heaven's sake, she wasn't starving. Nobody answered. He kept talking. You're all acting like she's some helpless victim because she couldn't handle a few chores. Emma shrank beside me. Then Marcus made the mistake that ended any chance of defending himself. He jabbed a finger toward her. This whole mess started because that kid couldn't take instructions. Every conversation stopped. Even Marcus seemed to realize what he'd just admitted. The inspector slowly closed his notebook. "Thank you." Marcus frowned. "For what?" "For confirming every witness statement." The silence that followed was heavier than any argument could have been. I stood and took Emma's hand. "I think we're finished here." Marcus watched me reach beneath the inspection folder and pull out one final envelope. His confidence vanished. "What else is in there?" Before I could answer, the committee chair stepped into the center of the room. "Nobody leaves," she said firmly. "We're going to address this last document together." The committee chair laid the final document on the dining table. She didn't rush. She looked around the room first, making sure every person who had watched Emma work and every person who had looked away was paying attention. "This document explains why today's review expanded beyond a standard renovation inspection," she said. She turned to me. "Ms. Bennett, would you like to explain?" I nodded. "About 6 months ago, I started noticing a pattern." Marcus folded his arms but said nothing. Every family gathering ended the same way. Emma was always cleaning while the adults relaxed. If another child offered to help, Marcus would send them away. If Emma looked tired, she was told she was lazy. If she spoke up, she was called disrespectful. I looked toward my daughter. At first, I thought maybe I was seeing isolated incidents, so I stopped assuming. The committee members listened quietly. I started writing down dates. I pointed to the folder. Every gathering, every chore, every witness, every message, every photograph. Marcus scoffed. "You built a case against family." "No," I answered. "I documented repeated behavior. After talking to you, accomplished nothing." Vanessa lowered her head. She knew he had been confronted before. Nothing had changed. The committee chair opened the file. Inside were dated notes, photographs, screenshots of family messages, and statements from relatives who had agreed to tell the truth after seeing what happened the previous evening. The incident involving Emma was not an isolated disagreement, the chair concluded. It completed an established pattern. Marcus finally lost his composure. "So what? Kids do chores." "No," the chair corrected. "Children help. They are not singled out, humiliated, denied a meal, and ordered to bed while adults laugh." No one argued. Not even my mother. The committee informed Marcus and Vanessa that the conduct documented during gatherings connected with the grant-supported property violated the standards they had agreed to maintain when receiving community assistance. Their file would reflect the violations. They would be required to reimburse a portion of the community funding tied to hosted events, complete corrective measures before becoming eligible for future neighborhood improvement grants, and submit to additional reviews if they wished to participate again. Marcus stared at the paperwork. "This is insane." "No," the chair replied calmly. "It's accountability." The financial consequences were only the beginning. Word spread through the neighborhood far faster than Marcus expected. The people who had admired him as a community volunteer learned what had happened inside his own home. Invitations stopped coming. The youth mentoring committee quietly removed him from upcoming activities. Neighbors who had defended him only hours earlier apologized for believing the version of him he showed in public. Inside the family, the damage was just as deep. Renee walked over to Emma first. "I'm sorry I didn't speak sooner." Aunt Lorraine hugged her. "So am I." Even Caleb knelt beside her. "You shouldn't have been doing all that work." Emma gave a small nod. She wasn't smiling yet. But for the first time since the night before, she wasn't blaming herself either. Then Vanessa approached. Her eyes were red. "I'm sorry, Emma." Emma looked at her for a long moment. "You laughed." Vanessa couldn't deny it. "I know. I thought you liked me. Vanessa broke down crying. There was no explanation that could erase those words. My mother slowly walked toward me. I only wanted everyone to get along. I met her eyes. No, Mom. You wanted everyone to stay comfortable. She had no answer. Keeping the peace had come at the expense of a child. Marcus stood alone near the doorway. No one defended him anymore. No one laughed with him. The authority he had enjoyed over the family disappeared without a single raised voice. I wasn't interested in watching him fall. I turned to Emma instead. Come on. We left the house together. The next morning, I took her to our favorite little breakfast cafe. The waitress smiled. What can I get you? Emma hesitated. Then she looked at me. Is it okay if I eat first this time? I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. You'll always eat first with me. She ordered pancakes, scrambled eggs, strawberries, and hot chocolate. She smiled after the first bite. A real smile. Not the careful one she'd worn around certain relatives for years. Over the following weeks, life slowly settled into something healthier. Emma joined an after-school cooking club where adults taught children with patience instead of fear. She made new friends. She laughed more. She stopped asking whether she had done something wrong whenever an adult raised their voice. As for me, I stopped attending gatherings where respect depended on staying silent. Some relatives earned their way back into our lives through sincere apologies and changed behavior. Others never did. Family, I realized, isn't measured by shared blood. It's measured by who protects the smallest person in the room when it's inconvenient. Marcus lost the reputation he had spent years building. Vanessa lost the illusion that silence keeps a family together. My mother lost the influence she once held over relatives who now refuse to excuse cruelty for the sake of appearances. Emma gained something far more valuable than any of them lost. She learned that being kind never means accepting mistreatment. And she learned that the adults who truly love you will never ask you to earn a place at their table. The night they sent my hungry little girl to bed believing she deserved nothing became the day they lost every bit of respect they thought no one could ever take away.